Good evening and welcome to the West Ham Network Extra. I am Alex from the West Ham Network Extra. No, we're on the West Ham Network, aren't we? Yes, we're on the West Ham Network. I am Alex from the West Ham Network Extra. Right, got there eventually. I did. Anyway, I hope everyone is having a good night tonight. And we're going to have a little chat. I've just got to play around with this a little bit because I feel like there may be a little bit of an echo. And hopefully that's a lot better now and it's not echoey. But I hope everyone's having a good night. Now, we've had 4 competitive games, 3 in the Premier League and 1 in the Carabao Cup. We've got 2 wins and we got 2 losses, and now we are into the international break. And there are a few players off on international duty. Got Bowen off to England, Mavropanos off to Greece, the Czech guys, both Soucek and Soucek, off to the Czech Republic. Fullkrug is going to Germany, Aviola to France, Paquetá to Brazil, Rodriguez to Argentina, Kudus, of course, to Ghana, and Antonio still hasn't retired from international football and is going away with Jamaica. So, how are we all doing? How did everyone feel about the game at the weekend against Manchester City? I mean, we'll have a little chat about that, and we'll have a little chat about the Bournemouth game last week, and we'll have a little chat about the inevitable cup tie in the 3rd round against Liverpool. Typical, but we always get a big 6-side, and it's just actually getting quite annoying now. So yeah, we're gonna have a chat about all these things, and of course we'll be diving into the comments as we usually do to be having a chat. And I need to remove some of these banners because I've got banners and stuff kind of sitting around this, so I need to. There we go. Right, we'll put that to one side, and there we go. Right, okay, look, we're there now. I just noticed that. Bad. Anyway, and yeah, we'll also talk about the fact that our transfer business may not be 100% done just yet. We're looking in the free transfer market to maybe bring another central defender in. So, plenty to talk about tonight. So, how is everyone doing? Let's have a quick look in the comments. Who have we got in here already? We've got Gary. Good afternoon. It's evening here, but yeah, there we go. Yeah, Mark's got it. Evening. Evening to usual suspects. How you doing? You can't see Hummels wanting to be a 4th choice. But yeah, that is one of the concerns I have about him. I'm not even sure if he is going to be coming because he is. I think as you've put a little bit further down, Mark, he has been linked with Roma, and apparently they have gone back in with a new contract offer tonight. So he could be going there. He may not be. Who else we got? We got Stuart. How you doing? Even from Malden. How you doing, Stuart? Nice to see you tonight. Evening to Bill. How you doing? Evening to Leslie as well. Still has a good point. Looks like a freebie. Why don't we just sign on yellow shorts? Okay. Oi. Name ain't still. I get the comparison now, unfortunately. Right. Well, yeah, but I mean, that's actually a fairly good question. Why didn't we keep a Bogger if we're looking to sign an aging defender? I don't think this was ever the plan. I don't think it was the plan to let Aguerd and a Bonga and Zuma go without bringing in other centre backs. So, maybe we dropped the ball there. Maybe we just couldn't get any deals over the line. Maybe we just left it too late, trying to get the players out the door that we wanted to get out of the door. And I don't think that was all our fault. But yeah, I don't think it was originally the plan for us to be in this position right now. But we're still not in the worst position ever. Yeah, we may only have 3 recognised centre backs right now, but I still don't think that is a terrible thing. We've got like young Caden Casey who can possibly come in and be that 4th choice. You've got Alvarez who can drop back into defence as well. So no, we've still got options, and it's only a problem if the defenders we've got pick up injuries or get suspensions. If they don't, then it's not an issue. But when is it never not an issue for us? We're not that lucky, are we? Fortune's hiding down under TV. How you doing? The nice thing about football at the moment is so refreshing is the choice of players we have to choose from. Waking up at 1 a.m. makes football easier to stay awake. I can imagine if you're watching from Australia and you happen to wake up in the early hours of the morning. Last season, under David Moyes, you pretty much knew what players were going to be starting, and you pretty much knew the performance you were going to see. At least this season, you have no idea, um, what the lineup is going to be. I mean, I've been left guessing every single week about the lineup, and I still don't know. And going into the Fulham game in a couple of weeks, I still have no idea, considering the signings that we have made, the new players that we have brought in, and them having a little bit more time under Lopetegui. I've mentioned the players that are away on international duty, so yeah, we'll just go over it again. Bowen, Mavropanos, Soucek, Sofel, Fullkrug, Aviola, Pagsar, Rodriguez, Antonio, and Kudus. Alvarez is not going away with Mexico. He and Mexico have decided that he will stay in London, which I think is, I think that's good. So he has a little bit more time to gain match fitness, which is good. But you also have Sola, who hasn't gone anywhere. Somerville, of course, hasn't. So there's still some players there that can work on some bits, and maybe after the international break, we will start to see a slightly different team being lined up, and maybe a slightly different approach to games than what we have been seeing so far. Yeah, Bo, you're 5 hours behind. Fair enough. Where are you? Where are you, Gary? To be 5 hours behind. Hello, Randy. Hello, Joshua. How you doing, mate? See ya. Is Casey training with the first team or still training and playing with the under 21s? I still believe he's with the under 21s. I mean, I don't know. You're probably better off asking Russ that question, if you're honest. He's a lot more up to date with the development squad than I am. But you never know. You never know. Fortunes, as a channel, how nice it is to be able to talk more about football rather than the copy and paste football of last season. Indeed, I mean, there is plenty to talk about, isn't there? There is definitely a lot to talk about. You're in Michigan, USA. How's it like in Michigan at the moment? My brother lives in Seattle. Is that near Michigan? I have no idea of US geography, to be honest with you. Like, I know Seattle is on one side, and you've got Florida and California on the other, and Texas is like down the south, like in the middle. But apart from that, I don't really have a clue when it comes to US geography, if I'm being honest with you. Um, apart from the 2-2 draw a few years ago against Man City, I think it was the best we played. Yeah, I mean that's one of the things that I want to I want to have a little chat about, because for the first time against Man City in a very, very long time, I come away from that game actually feel a little bit disappointed that we didn't get anything from it, because I thought we put in a really good performance. Over the last few years, anytime we played Man City, it kind of just felt like we were just going there. I felt like I was always going to a Man City game just to go and socialise, and that was it. I wasn't going there in any hope that we would get a result or that we would see a decent performance. We may have little slivers of hope here and there where we take the lead and then get demolished in the second half. But we never really given it a go in the past. But it did feel like that we gave this game a go, and the players were really up for it. And we didn't really create a huge amount of chances, but in that second half, for a little while, we kind of felt like we could have come away with a draw. Ultimately, though, when the opposition has a machine, has a robot who is just inhuman called Erling Haaland, there's not much he could do, really, is there? I mean, he's just on another level, really, isn't he? How we doing? Fortunes always. Oh man, hope you're well. Your father is from Pennsylvania, Robbie England. It's good to hear. My brother's called Robbie, the one who lives in Seattle, by the way. We had joy, we had fun. Danny boy. I'm over by Chicago. Seattle is on the other side of the country. That's right here now. 27 gorgeous sunny day. Oh, good. It was actually a fairly nice day over here until. No, actually, it's been a fairly nice day over here today. It's not been too bad, but it's all starting to turn into autumn a little bit eventually. So, we had our short summer, lasted what it feels like for about, I don't know, 2-3 weeks. We had summer. It's gone really quick this summer, really quick. I mean, the whole summer holidays. I've got the kids going back to school tomorrow, and I swear it was only like a couple of weeks ago that they finished. So I don't know where the hell this summer has gone. It's probably because we were just having so much fun over the transfer window with all the transfers we were having. It just flew by because usually the summer is a very long, drawn out process because there's no football and nothing to really get excited about. But no, it's been a really exciting summer for us at West Ham, so that's probably why it's felt like it's flown by a little bit. Oh, fortunes for you, is Soucek a starter or an impact sub? Well, I would say an impact sub. Now, I've done a video on this actually over on the West Ham Network Extra. And by the way, if you're not already subscribed to the West Ham Network Extra, where you do get to see me a little bit more, I'll give my opinions over on that page. Also, Ant and Russ and Holly will also be posting the occasional video over there. Make sure you go subscribe over there because I have done a video on Soucek and what I feel like his role should be. But I do feel like he would be a fantastic impact sub. I really do. I don't really want to see him starting games unless we have no choice, especially with the recruitment that we've done, bringing in Carlos Sola. We've still got Paquetá, got Rodriguez. I feel like we just got better options in that midfield now. They're a little bit more creative than Soucek. He still can offer a lot in terms of goals, but I've always felt with Soucek that is pretty much all he kind of offers at times, as well as an aerial threat, of course. And as well as his defensive capabilities, like he does have that. But in that middle of the park, I feel like we just need a little bit more creativity, and he just doesn't quite have that. But he can still have a real impact at West Ham United coming off the bench. He could be a right pain in the arse for defenders. Can you imagine like bringing on Soucek and Antonio to a tight defence? I mean, they'll just run them ragged. I just feel like they are two great super subs that we could have in our locker going forward. And I feel like eventually that is how those two players will be used. So, yeah, that for me is how we should be using Thomas Soucek for the remainder of this season. Of course, if we need him to start, we will start him. But if we don't, impacts up 100%. The West Ham Massive, how you doing? If Kuda's shot goes in, it's a whole different match. Felt quite perplexed as the mass exodus after Haaland's first very, very disappointing. Yeah, do you know what, actually? I noticed that as well. As soon as Haaland's third came in, I mean, we all knew that the game was over at that point. We knew that we weren't going to win it. We weren't really going to get anything from the game. But I still felt like the players on that pitch deserved a good, reception at the end of the game. And I was also a little bit disappointed by the fact that some people left. Now, obviously, I get it, right? Coming away from the London Stadium, the stop and go is a pain in the arse. And you could be a right pain getting on the train and all those things. But, you know, we've been wanting to see better performances. And I felt like those guys deserved, a good reception at the end of the game. And it was a shame that so many people left. And I'll be honest with you, I left at the end of the game, and it didn't really make a difference. All those people leaving, and it was still as crazy as it usually is. So yeah, it would have been nice if people stayed to the end, but yeah, it's the way it is these days, isn't it? It's never really going to change. Did that? How we doing? Anyway, right. Randy, regarding Paquetá, I know people will want him to be dropped against Fulham, but we have to try Paquetá deeper next to Alvarez with Kudus in the 10, see if it works with Somerville on the left. I've always believed that would be a good way to go when it comes to Paquetá. The annoying thing that I've got from Paquetá this season, though, is his lack of awareness. You know, he loses concentration and he just loses the ball in silly areas by just not paying too much attention. Now he does lose the ball a lot by trying those fancy passes, but for me against Man City, that's what I noticed the most. He kept on just giving the ball away in just in the middle of the field, and it was just him not paying attention. People were just pickpocketing him, and if he just stayed a little bit more aware, he wouldn't have lost the ball so much. And I don't think we can fully blame him for the first goal. Was it a bad pass by Emerson? I think it was a bit of both, a bad pass and a bad touch. Paquetá doesn't usually have a bad touch, so in that case, I do really hugely blame Paquetá, but that's what's worrying me at the moment. Now, I've always said that I think he can play in that 8 if he can stay 100%, focused on the game the whole time. But yeah, I'm still a little bit concerned that he's not 100% with it, and maybe the things going on in the background are having an impact. So no, I do agree that we should still use him, and I would absolutely love to see Kudus in the team because I've been shouting from the rooftops from the very beginning of the season and the end of last season that Mohamed Kudus is completely wasted on that left hand side. He can do a job there, but you don't get the best out of him. And him in that 10, I just think would be absolutely electric. And that would be the best way to go. But yeah, it's how how you work out the rest of the team. Bowen on the right, Somerville on the left, definitely needs some game time. Fuller as well, he needs game time. That'd be the question. But we've brought in Carlos Soler as well, who is a bit of a box to box midfielder who can play a similar role to Paquetá if he's playing in that eight. So possibly, maybe Paquetá may, you know, improve his game, may push to him, be better because he has got that competition now for places. So I still feel like we got to keep him in the side and we got to give him a go. But with the acquisition of Carlos Soler, that is a viable option to put in instead if he's up and down form does continue. That's just my thought at the moment. Andy, second half versus City, we had 8 attempts to their 5 minus Haaland, and we win 1-0. Did we miss the boat on a striker? We needed 2 in the window, in my opinion. Yeah, we had availability for one. I think we had the availability for 3 strikers altogether. We had Antonio, we had Ings, and I do honestly believe that what we aimed to do was bring in Fuller, move on Ings, and also bring in Duran. I think that was probably the original plan. But Ings didn't want to go. He wanted to stay and fight for his place or continue earning the amount of money that he's getting earning. I can't really blame him for that, if I'm being honest. If I can't. So I think that kind of put a little bit of a spanner in the works there. That now we don't have. We weren't able to bring in that younger, pacier striker. But that's something for the future. I mean, we've still got a lot of pace when it comes to, up top. We've got Bowen has got a ton of pace. Kudus has got a ton of pace. You got Somerville, come on, has got a ton of pace. We even got that Guilherme who's like fast as hell as well. So we've already got a lot of pace. What you get with Fullkrug is you get a good footballing brain and a player who can read the game as well. And maybe the mixture of players who can exploit space with their pace to create chances for Fuller to put away. I think that's the hope going forward. But all these players, they do need a little bit more game time to show what they can do. But yeah, I think it would have been nice to bring in another striker. But hey, we've never been blessed with good luck when it comes to strikers. Never. But we'll see. Hopefully Fuller will kind of prove us wrong. Who's been your best signing this season? I mean, sure, it's been 4 games. I mean, it's a toss-up for me at the moment between Kilman and Wan-Bissaka because I feel like Kilman has put in some really, really solid performances so far. Man and a match performance against Crystal Palace. Decent performances in the other games as well, and I think Aaron Wan-Bissaka has been absolutely brilliant since he's been in the side. So yeah, at the moment he's definitely a toss-up between those two, which is quite amusing because potential flop of the season when I did this live was Kilman, and I said that the most impressive signing of the season would be Wan-Bissaka, and it's interesting that at the moment we're talking about the most impressive one being either Kilman or Aaron Wan-Bissaka. So yeah, for me, it's definitely between those two. And it's good because I feel like they have transformed their defence. Their defence looks a hell of a lot stronger than it ever has done before. Not ever has done before, but it definitely did last season for sure. I mean, the defence looked just so dodgy last season. This season, though, he just looks a lot more secure. Obviously, we let him free at the weekend, but one was down to a misplaced ball. 2 was down to maybe us not closing down, them playing it around in the area. But I don't know how anyone was able to stop Haaland's second strike. And yeah, the last one, we got caught out going forward, basically. And yeah, so there's definitely things to improve. But overall, I feel like those two coming into our defence have massively, massively improved it from last season. So yes, between those two for me. You're a very big fan of the Czech boys. You believe they still have a place. I still feel they have a place. I still think Sofel is a decent right back. I just think when you compare him to Wan-Bissaka, he doesn't look as good. But I feel like Sofel has. So I feel like Sofel has more going forward for me. I feel like he has more going forwards, like crossing ability. Than Wan-Bissaka, but Wan-Bissaka was still very good on the ball and very good going forward. I mean, Man United fans were saying that he was absolutely useless crossing the halfway line. I haven't seen that so far. I think he's had the more successful take-ons than any other defender in the Premier League, and he's barely played 2 games for West Ham United this season. So I think that kind of says a lot about Wan-Bissaka, and he does look really lively and really good going forward. I haven't seen him really cross the ball yet, so I have to leave judgment on that. So that's why I say the Sofo was probably better at crossing the ball than Wan-Bissaka. But no, he can still offer something, and we've already talked about Soucek. I still feel like he's got a lot to offer as well. There was a lesson to be learned in how to handle Heartland. Yes, yeah, there was. I did have a quick discuss about that. I wasn't overly happy about it. So many people leaving after Haaland's third goal. Wasn't overly happy about it. I know the game was over and we weren't really coming back, but still, I feel like the players deserved a better reception at the end of the game than what they got. People are going to think I'm crazy for saying this because it was Man City, but one of the key issues against them was actually played them paid them too much respect. I don't think we paid them as much respect as we used to. And I think the problem is, see, this is how I saw the game. We started off very brightly and we were taking the game to Man City and we were causing them some problems. And that forced them to up their game. And I don't think we've ever had to really force them to up their game before. They've never really had to get out of second gear most of the time when they've played us, but they had to put on their A game. And they were just so scarily good going forward. We kept on trying to push out, but they just kept on pushing us back. Just kept on pushing us back because they are just so good. The movement that they have, the players they have, and their availability. They're just a scary team to play. So sometimes it can look like that we're paying them a lot of respect, but sometimes it's just that you can't do anything else apart from defend against them, and that's kind of how it felt for large parts of that first half. In the second half, though, we really did take that game to Man City, and although they did have more possession, we created more and we looked like the team more likely to score in that second half before Haaland got his third. So I don't think we paid them as much with too much respect. Definitely not as much as we have done in the past. We could have got away with sacrificing a DM for another outlet. Yeah, we probably could. Didn't we take? Who did we take off? We took off Alvarez, didn't we? I can't remember the exact substitutions that we made. Because I thought the first ones were Fuller came on for Antonio, and Alvarez came off for someone else. Soucek. Was it Soucek? No, Soucek didn't come on first. He came on a little bit later, Soucek. Who was that other sub that came on? I can't remember the other sub that came on. But we did sacrifice one of the DMs. DeVito looks quite aggressive. If he was fit, I believe he could have handled Haaland a bit better. Yeah. I mean, it's still really hard to judge with how Todibo would have performed against Man City, but from the little I've seen of him, he does look like a more physical defender than maybe Mavropanos, and maybe he has got better position because that's what I feel like lets Mavropanos down sometimes. Is he's positioning and sometimes trying to go forward at the wrong times. And I think Tabito maybe just has a little bit better awareness. So maybe he would have been able to handle Haaland a little bit better. Maybe. But um, we won't know now until we have to play them later on in the season. Or in the fourth round of the Carabao Cup after we beat Liverpool at Anfield and then get Man City away. Because you know that will happen, right? You know that happen. If we beat Liverpool, we will get Man City away. I mean, we still got to beat Liverpool, who are 3 for 3 and haven't let in a goal this season. So I don't see us having much hope there. But it's in the League Cup, so anything can happen, really, can't it? Anything can happen. We have bought a top class striker. He's only had 137 minutes though, so you've got to give him a little bit of a chance to show what he can do. And once he's had a few games, from the start and had a few more opportunities, then we can judge him. But I'm not going to judge him just yet. So we may have a top class striker on our hands. You don't know yet, yeah. And also, top class strikers cost a hell of a lot of money. They do. They cost a hell of a lot of money. So no, let's just wait and see. Let's wait and see. Play Pakistan next to Alvarez rather than the 10, who is just continually tracking backwards. Take best from defence. Fair enough. Fair point, Damien. Tabida and Kilman have to be our go-to partnership. No, I do agree with that. I think going forward, Tabido and Kilman definitely do. I don't think Mavropanos has done a bad job. I don't think he played particularly brilliant against Man City, but I think his performances in the other games he has played, he's done really, really well. So yeah, maybe a little bit harsh, but I think we all know that our defensive partnership going forward is going to be Todibo and Kilman, and they, maybe they will be training alongside each other during this international break a little bit more because neither have gone on international duty. So maybe we play a behind doors friendly or something where they try it out and he gets a little bit more match fitness, and then when we come back after the international break to play for them, that is the centre back partnership that we go forward with, because they do need to play alongside each other to get used to playing alongside each other. So hopefully that is the way it goes. Hopefully, let's hope so. Paquetá's lack of awareness comes from coaching. He's more than capable of keeping it more sensible than that, but he's obviously been given instructions to take a risk and play forward. It's not the part where he plays it forward that I've got a problem with. Him taking risks and taking it forward, if he loses the ball that way, I don't have a problem. What I know is from Paquetá is he'd pick the ball up from midfield or he'd get past it, and then he wasn't moving it on quick enough. He wasn't aware of a Man City player coming from behind or from the side. And I saw him pickpocketed a few times where he lost the ball in the middle of the park just because he just wasn't, fully aware of his surroundings, which I do think is a little bit unusual for Paquetá. And that's what I noticed. But I don't have a problem if he's been given that freedom. Excuse me. If he's been given that freedom to take the ball forward and take a few more risks, if he loses the ball that way, then he does. But it's those other parts where he's not taking the risk. He's just not paying full attention. Can Emerson and Somerville play together, or does this leave defensive gap on the left? We don't know. Really, do we? Because they haven't really had an opportunity to play alongside each other. I mean, Somerville started that game against Bournemouth, but Emerson didn't. It was meant to be Creswell, but he pulled up with an injury, and then we put Wan-Bissaka to left back, which I did think was a very strange choice at the moment. I didn't understand why he didn't, keep Wan-Bissaka at right back and bring Emerson on and start Emerson instead. But actually, it turns out that Wan-Bissaka was pretty decent on that left. He looked very comfortable on that left-hand side as well. So it is good that we've got a little bit of versatility in there. We had Ben Johnson, who before could play right back and left back, and now we've brought in Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who can play right back and left back. And I feel like that is a much improved player. That's a much better player than Ben Johnson. So, we've improved in that position, and he still has the same versatility as the player that he changed. But, can Emerson and Somerville play on that left-hand side? We don't know, because they haven't really had an opportunity to yet. But maybe that is something that they will be working on as well during the international break, because neither of those players are off on international duty. So maybe that is something that we shall experiment with. Pakistan was late back to the squad, as was Bain, which two players are still off it. Most of those players, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean that's got to be taken into consideration. It definitely does because obviously, yeah, I mean they come back with like 2 weeks before the season began, and all the other players have been in pre-season for a few weeks, which is one of the reasons I'm so frustrated about this international break. Just after 3 Premier League games, because a lot of these players who are already on international duty have had barely 5 or 6 weeks with their parent club before they go away on international duty again. It just makes no sense that we have these international breaks so early on in the season. I mean, at least wait 6 or 7 games or maybe 8 games before having one. And don't have so many. We've got 3 before Christmas. We don't need them. We don't need them. Get rid of this bloody UEFA Nations League. Right? It's a pointless thing. Just something else brought in, to try and get some money. And, just sit back and do the World Cup qualifiers. And when there are qualifiers going on in the national break and we don't have one, then you do the friendlies. It's simple as that. Cut it down to 2 before Christmas. I think I'd be okay with that. The first one about 8, 9 weeks into the season, then the next one maybe, another 6 or so after that. And give these players some time to be back at their squads and to work. I mean, not every club is in the same position as us. Not every club has had a new manager come in. Not every club has had a whole lot of new signings come in. So it's not the same for every single club, but it does disrupt it a little bit. But yeah, it's not right. He was in a funny mood on the weekend as well, much more focused against Palace. Yeah, no, he was a lot more focused against Palace. I thought he put in a really good performance against Palace. He did give the ball away, trying to have that freedom and do those fancy things, but his awareness was a lot better. He was tracking back, he was breaking up the play, he was winning the ball back, and he just looked so much better against Palace than what he did against Man City. I don't know. I don't know. We just don't always see the best of him against Man City. And sometimes he has these off games, and it's really frustrating because we know how good he can be. We do know how good he can be. But yeah, he's very up and down at the moment. Toledo and Gilman need to be our main for the defence. Not. Yeah, yeah. No, we covered that a little bit earlier. Randy, 100%. Full of his bang average. Now, you don't know he's played 137 minutes of football for West Ham United. How do you know his bang average? But I pulled out some facts. I pulled out some stats yesterday, right? I pulled out some stats. At Dortmund, he was scoring a goal every 2.5 games, which is every 222 minutes. So he was at Dortmund scoring a goal every 222 minutes, and you're judging him after 137 minutes of football. Werder Bremen scoring a goal every 152 minutes. Was getting a goal every 1.6 games. At Hanover was getting a goal every 208 minutes, which is about every 2.3 games. You can compare him to Antonio, our top goal scorer in the Premier League. He's averaged a goal at West Ham United every 271 minutes. So I'm not going to judge him yet. And I don't think anyone else should. But he's a West Ham United player. Whether you wanted him here or not, doesn't matter now. He's a West Ham United player. Get behind him, give him our support. You hating on him is not going to make him leave midway through the season. It's not. So just get behind him. If he proves to be a flop, then he's a flop. But let's not judge him before, he's had that opportunity to show what he can do. I thought if Fullkrug got 12 goals, it'll be a decent season. I've now revised that down to 6. He has, God, he could get 6. Look, I still think he is more than capable of getting into double figures. He only had 15 minutes against Villa. He probably had another 15 minutes against Palace. He played a lot of the game against Bournemouth, but he had James Ward-Prowse and Soucek sitting behind him, so there was not a huge amount of creativity in that team to help create chances for him, and I don't think anyone really impressed in that game anyway. So it's a bit unfair to single out Fullkrug in that game. And in the last game he played a little bit against Man City. Just give him a chance. Wait until the international break is over. Hopefully he'll get a few more minutes. Hopefully he'll start a few more games, and then we'll start. We can start judging him a little bit more. Then he's played in a league he's never played in before. You know, he's playing alongside players he's never played with before. He's playing in a system that may be a little bit different than what he's played before. You've got to give the man an opportunity to show what he can do before we judge him. That's all I'm saying. I would say if Emerson does have poor performances going forward, the left back will need to be addressed as well as the young pacey striker. Yeah, I was a little bit surprised that we didn't, address that left back situation in the summer. I mean, I keep on having to remind myself that we made 9 signings and there's been a lot of squad turnover and we couldn't do absolutely everything we would have loved to have done. I keep on having to remind myself of that. But Emerson, I still think he doesn't usually let us down. I think he usually does put in some really solid performances and does well. And he's still very capable of that. I don't think he's put in any bad performances. I think it was probably his worst performance against Man City, but defensively, I thought that he actually handled Doku down that right hand side or his left hand side pretty well during the game. And a lot of the attacks were, going through the middle, a lot of the time. So no, Emerson's still decent. I do worry about Creswell a little bit, but look, we weren't going to get everything we wanted to get done in this summer. We have signed a lot of players. We've brought in a lot of recruitment, and this is what we've got to work with now. And I still think that the squad we've got available now is at least 60-70% better than the squad we had last season, at least. And with that squad last season, we managed to finish 9th. And I still think we're going to be in for a good season and we've got a good squad. Yeah, there are some positions we need to improve on. But, there's January and then there's next summer where we will probably start to improve again, depending how much we will improve will depend on how we do this season. But, what we've got is what we've got to work with now. Mark, hi. You got that quality old school pub pick with the gold frame in your office. Great to say. Well, this one right here. This one right here. I love that thing. I've had that, I think, since I was about, I don't know, 13, 14, I think I've had that one. The other one behind me I've had since I was about 10. So, yeah, no, I love that thing. I think it's great. Been up on any wall I could get them on since I've had them. Fuller got more credit from our fan base for throwing up a hammer sign for a celebration where he had no involvement than Antonio did for breaking. That's why. Antonio does. I don't know why people think that Antonio is massively appreciated at West Ham United. And we've shown him love and appreciation all these years. When it comes to a new signing, we're going to give him a bit of love. We're going to, show him affection straight away because, we want him to feel welcome. That's all it is. It's not a case of showing him a little bit more love than another player. I think every single West Ham United fan loves and appreciates everything that Antonio has done in the past. But we do recognise that he could be a little bit frustrating at times still. But no, I think the love that was shown to Fullkrug was just a bit of a welcome, saying welcome to West Ham. Hope you do well. With past emphasis placed on Bowen Kudus and Soucek score, how did they change their game to incorporate any true centre forward? This is something else that I think is important for everyone to for a lot of people to try and remember. A lot of these players are very used to playing in a David Moyes system that was very defensive, and I still feel like at times they revert back to what they remember. They go to their safe space, so to speak, and it is going to take a little bit of time for for this new system, for this new way of playing that Lopetegui is trying to introduce to fully set in and the players to get fully used to it. But I think we saw signs of it against Manchester City. I think we saw signs of it against Crystal Palace in the second half, and we saw signs of it in the game against Celta Vigo in the Betway Cup before the season kicks off. So it is there. There is a new style that we are trying out, which I think will try and incorporate Fullkrug a little bit more. And I do wonder if that's why we've had Antonio in there for the first few games of the season, because Lopetegui recognises that these players are not quite used to playing that different way yet. So he's trying to play to the strengths we had. And last season, one of the strengths that we had was scoring goals. We did score a lot of goals last season, and we did do very well at scoring goals. But our main problem was last season was the defence. So I look at it and I say, right, I think Lopetegui's concentration at the beginning of this season was right. Let's firm up that defence first. Let's try and concede less goals. Now, have we conceded less goals? Well, we kept 2 clean sheets. So I'd say we've not done too bad, and we've had to face off against a player like Erling Haaland. So it's not been the easiest start, but the defence for me has looked a lot more solid. So, sort out that defence first. Make sure that we're conceding less goals, and then we'll start working, further up the pitch, going forwards to try and have these players to be able to create more chances and play a slightly different way. So I feel like, first 4 games, we've got that defence, a little bit more secure now. And then after the international break, maybe we will start seeing us play a slightly different way to try and incorporate a new centre forward like Fuller. Possibly. I mean, these are just theories. I don't really know what's going on in Lopetegui's head. I'm just trying to make it all make sense in my ears sometimes. Oh, I don't know. You'd have a cold pint of milk, Mark. Good for you. I don't want Fullkrug to turn into another Hannah, otherwise it's another loss waiting to happen. Hope he works on wanting to succeed. Yeah, I want to succeed. And I don't want it to turn into another Hannah. I don't want it to turn into another Skamaka. I don't want it to turn into another, one of the other 100-odd strikers that we've had in the last 20 years. Because we've had a lot, but that's why I say I feel like we've gone in a slightly different direction when it comes to Fuller. With Skamaka and Haller, we went with strikers that, tall. They needed service constantly, and they weren't what you would say necessarily players that were going to come to the ball. With Fuller, he is that kind of player that will try and come to the ball, and I've said this many times. From watching him and seeing him play, I saw him play in the Euros and I saw him play for Dortmund a few times last season in the Champions League. For me, he kind of looks like a little bit of a mix in between Antonio and Harry Kane, where he's got the football brain and the finishing of Kane, and he has got the awareness and the strength of Antonio. He just doesn't quite have that pace. That's the only downside. But I've always said you don't need to have electric pace to be a great striker, especially when we've got all the other pace that we've got in our side. You can still do really well, and I think he's going to be incorporated into this side a little bit more. But it's going to take a little bit of time. Just take a little bit of time. Steve, AVD is a revelation. Kilman's solid. Totally agree. Neither Soucek or Soucek want to be warm on the bench, so how do you keep them happy? You're not going to be able to keep everyone happy. This is the one downside to having such a large squad. We're not going to be able to keep everyone happy. There are going to be players that are going to be a little bit annoyed about being left on the bench. There's going to be some players that are going to be annoyed about being left out of the squad. So because that will probably happen at some stage. The best way to try and do it is to try and create, an atmosphere behind the scenes where they always feel included and they still feel part of the team, even though they're not on the starting lineup. And to give them opportunities, to bring them off the bench and, to help them feel incorporated a little bit more. But I still feel like Soucek and Soucek, they're not dumb. They will look at all the players we've brought in and, they will know that they will have to fight for their place. They will have to put in performances to try and keep their place, which will, make them a little bit more competitive, which in turn should make all the other players a little bit more competitive as well. And, they're not, no footballer wants to be left on the bench, but no footballer has the right to, well, the majority of footballers don't necessarily have the right to automatically expect to be in that starting 11 every single week. So yeah, they may not want to be bench warming, but they must know in the back of their minds that that is going to be a possibility for this season. And if they don't like it and they want to move on, then yeah, that'll probably will happen at the end of the season. I think Sofel's contract's up at the end of the season, so maybe his last season with us anyway. And I know Soucek signed a new deal, so maybe he will move on. I still think that they'll both get a lot of game time. They just probably won't be starting a lot of games. Right, AWB for me probably will be our best value for money and may even be one of our best players. I'm not sure why someone wasn't told to mark Haaland out of the game. I it's so difficult to mark him out of the game. I think that's the problem because I saw him in so many different positions. I think everyone thinks that he's literally just like a tapping merchant, just really good at scoring goals. But I was just watching him. He does little touches here and there. Some of his movement is absolutely insane. To be able to get in the positions that he gets into sometimes is crazy. And yeah, I mean, he was on the left hand side of the box. He was on the right hand side of the box. He was just moving everywhere. So it's really hard to mark a player like that. So I just feel like he's just a very difficult player to mark in general. You can try and mark him out of the game, but you know, I think if that worked, everyone would do it, and he wouldn't ever score any goals. But he does. So we're not the only team to fail to stop him scoring goals. You know, 8 hat tricks in 69 games. He's definitely a good striker, and he definitely has a way to lose defenders. Rodriguez is slow, got a great pass but no pace. We don't need a pace. Not every single player on the football field needs to have a huge amount of pace, and I don't think he's as slow as is being made out. But he's got good positional awareness, which is really what you need. You need a player if you've got a defensive midfielder there. That's what you need. You need a player who's very good on the tackle, who can read the play really well, and I think he's good at that. And yeah, he does have a good pass though, especially his diagonal pass. So glad I was born West Ham. Thanks, mum and dad. Random. Same way by Real Madrid centre half by roughing him up nicely. Yeah, possibly. But as I say, if that always works, then everyone will be doing it. He just doesn't make it easy, and he's a player who learns. So after being roughed up by the Real Madrid centre back, he will know how to try and stop that from happening. Maybe a little bit more. Uh, yeah, Ariola going off at half time. He's gone off to the French squad, so yeah, not too serious, which is good. I'm not exactly sure what the problem was. Um, I think it was a slight back injury. Did have to make quite an awkward save in the first half, so maybe that had something to do with it. Damien, Haaland was the difference. People complaining about the Folk signing for that reason. Honestly, I think a complete centre forward was the difference between the two sides. No, please do not tell me that you are comparing Nicholas Fullkrug to Erling Haaland. Please do not tell me that is what you're comparing him to. You can't make that comparison. You just can't, because there's no. I don't think there is another striker, let alone player on the planet that is as is as good as Erling Haaland at the moment. I mean, yeah, players do different things, but his ability to be in the right, get in those position, get in that position, and to score the goals he does, you can't compare him to Fullkrug. You just can't. And you got to remember, he has got a hell of a lot of amazing players around him. Bernardo Silva, Kevin De Bruyne. There are some amazing players that have been playing alongside each other for a good 2 and a bit years, right? They know each other's movement. They know each other down to a T. We are playing with a striker who hasn't played alongside half the players that he's playing for more than 90 minutes. You cannot make that comparison. You just can't. to think that it's a side that have won 4 backs, but yeah. We don't know. We don't have a top class striker yet. Soucek came on for Alvarez, Fullkrug came on for Antonio, Soucek came on for Emerson, all together on the 71st minute. Thank you very much, Andy. I appreciate that. Right, I'm going to catch up with these comments because I'm a little bit behind on these comments. Right, let's go back. The previous incumbent of the club of proper mess football-wise. Anything Lopetegui does will be an improvement. That's a fair point to make, usual suspect. Fair point to make there. David, all foreign players need time to adjust. Fullkrug just needs game time. Yep, totally agree there, David. Just got to give him a little bit of time. Fuller is the exact same direction as Halazer, only older. Not necessarily. Right. I made this mistake last time. Just keep on clicking on the negative comments. Stop being so negative. Give the man a chance. It's a West Ham United player. Always the destroyer of football. God, I went on to another one. Hopefully Tim has those problem positions already scouted. He definitely will be working on it. Definitely will be working on it. What kind of striker do you think is do you think is different? Because if you're looking for a pacey striker that runs between the lines, we've got like Jared Bowen who can do that job. If we wanted that, we would just put Jared Bowen there, put Kudus on the left. It solves a hell of a lot of problems in regards to in regards to how we fit everyone in. So if we were looking for a young pacey striker, if that was the ideal that we wanted, we would just put Jared Bowen there because he could do a job there. But we want something a little bit different. And Fullkrug is not the same as Haller, and he is not the same as Skamaka. Skamaka was a lazy bastard. Great finisher, lazy though. Fullkrug's not that. He's not that. You need pace to be a top quality CF, I say every summer. Has anyone ever heard of a player called Olivier Giroud? I'm just wondering because he's France's top goal scorer, and that is a player that has never been blessed with a hell of a lot of pace. That's a top quality centre forward, by the way. See Belcher is a 20-year-old around 40 million company at the time. So no, maybe not. But it's past now. It's done. Can't live in the past. Got to look forward to the future. And at the moment, the future, at least until January, is Nicholas Fullkrug. So get behind the guy. Get behind the guy because you're not getting rid of him. Moan about it all you like. You ain't getting rid of him. Let's mention someone like Isaac with a good injury record and young Damien. Yeah, I mean, I don't think Fullkrug wasn't brought in to be the answer to all our striking problems. He was brought in to, I think, one, be a good addition to the squad for this season to try and help us get back into European football. And then I do believe that if we achieve that goal, then next summer we will be looking to bring in another striker. Now, will we be able to bring in one that we all want? No, look, not everyone's always going to be happy with every single signing that we make. Doesn't mean. So what was I going? So the team bond and we stay up. So much pressure already. We're going to stay up. God, we're getting relegated. Ain't going to happen. I'm just not even reading that comment, YouTube user. That's just terrible. That's so mean. You're comparing John Duran to Erling Haaland. That's even worse. Can't compare John Duran. Like, he is not on the level of Erling Haaland. He is a decent striker. He's nowhere. He's not. Look, if he was so good, Villa would be starting him. If he was that good, Villa would be starting him, but they're not. They use him off the bench. And I don't even think Ollie Watkins is brilliant, but he hasn't been brilliant. And although he hasn't been brilliant this season, they are still sticking with him. That's a point. Which 11 players would you select for the Fulham game? Oh, I mean, the defence has kind of, sorts itself out. Ariola in goal, Emerson, Kilman, Todibo, a future star, and Aaron Wan-Bissaka. It's when you get into that midfield. Now, what worries is the last time we went to Craven Cottage, it was quite an embarrassment, and we didn't have Alvarez in the side. So 100% Alvarez is in there. 100% he is. Against a team like Fulham, I think it would be a mistake. Well, I won't say mistake. I feel like the best option for us would be to go really attacking and to have Kudus playing in that 10 with Somerville on the left and Bowen on the right. And yeah, get Fullkrug in there, give the man game time. But if they have a place next to Alvarez, do you go with Rodriguez? Them playing a double pivot with Kudus up top, so they are protecting the defence. Or do you put Paquetá in there to play that role, or do you take a chance on someone like Carlos Soler as well? There is also the option of Soucek. It's the midfield. It's just there's a lot of question marks about it, but yeah, you've got to start giving Somerville game time, and you've got to start giving Tobido game time. So I would do that personally. I don't think you will. But I don't know, things might change over the international break. There may be some injuries picked up here and there that might force some changes. So we don't know. But yeah, I think that's what I would do. I'm just not sure about the midfield partnership. Who should be playing alongside Alvarez? That's one of the big questions. I would be happy with Duran if the super sells for him. Tim will have to get creative and look for an obscure name where it might not sound realistic, but Victor Gorges. I mean that would be a good signing. He is scoring, a lot of goals where he is at the moment. But yeah, I think if that was a viable option, we would have explored it. But we didn't. So we're not going to see another striker come in to West Ham until probably next summer. I mean, it's a small possibility that we could get one in January, but I'll be very, very surprised if that does. I mean, I'm bored of my new toys though. Can we go to Touch Off and buy some more? That is a really... I like that. Yeah, that's like my kid. You get a new toy, you play with it for 20 minutes, and you don't know how to play with it, you don't know how to work it, so you're like, they don't know, how to get the best out of it, so they're just like, no, I'm gonna throw it away. I'm not gonna give it a chance to see what this toy can really do for me. Go and get me a new one. And throw a tantrum if I don't get it. I get the comparison there. I don't want to live in the past. I just refuse to live in delusion either. It's not delusion to want to give someone a chance. It's delusion believing that they are going to be the best striker in the world. I mean, that's deluded. I've not said that. I have said that we just need to give the man a chance. He's played 137 minutes for West Ham United. And that's just not enough time for him to really show anything. It's just not enough time. Hasn't even played the equivalent of 2 games of football for us yet. So you've got to give the guy a little bit of chance. Okay, I support every player wearing a shirt. Yeah, so do I. I will give every player coming into West Ham United a chance, and if they don't perform, then I will call them out. But until they've proved that they're not going to perform, I'm going to give them a shot. We could get top 6 if Lop gets it right. Yes, we could. I think that's possible. I think I would say that there's been a couple of teams that have impressed. I mean, Brighton have definitely looked a lot stronger this season than I thought they would. So obviously, Liverpool are looking really strong. Man City, of course, and Arsenal, of course. But I do wonder if Liverpool are going to be able to keep it up. They had the same squad as they had last season, weren't able to keep it up for the duration of the season. So will they fall away at some point? Chelsea, they did look really good. I mean, they looked decent against Man City, but didn't get the win. Obviously, they got a really good win in their second game, but they drew against Palace in their last game. So, they're still vulnerable and, subject to the odd result here and there. So I think it's going to be a really tight league. And yeah, there's definitely opportunities for us to break into that top six if we can put in these performances. I've explained why Antonio is starting. Everyone forgets that when Lopetegui went to Wolves, he wanted Antonio. He really likes Antonio. So he said to Antonio over the summer, because I heard this earlier of a podcast, that apparently he said to Antonio over the summer, I'm going to give you a lot of opportunities this season to just show me what you can do. Now, hopefully, he has seen that he hasn't really been performing that well, really. And after the international break, he will be given for a chance to impress as well. So it's been 4 games. 4 games. Four. Are you saying that Mavropanos is better than Todibo because we haven't been starting to Todibo? Are you making that assumption as well? Were you saying that Sofel was better than Wan-Bissaka because he didn't start Wan-Bissaka in the first game? You saying that as well? He's like, it's the same kind of comparison. Just the point I want to make. Duran is the type of player that we will only have the option so once. Yep, and it's passed. So time to move on. Time to move on. Can we stop mentioning Duran? Can we stop talking about Aston Villa players? Can we talk about West Ham United players? This is a West Ham chat. I'm sure I can recommend some good Aston Villa chats if you want to go chat about Duran, because that's who he plays for now. He's not a West Ham United player. He probably won't ever be a West Ham United player. So let's just move on from that. You don't know that, and you don't know that we haven't signed a striker that is actually good. I never said that either. I never said that Falk was better than Duran. I said that the Fullkrug is a different striker to Duran, and he can still do a decent job. Never said that Duran was better, but he's got a lot. Fulker's got a lot more experience than Duran. He's a lot more proven than Duran. And yes, Duran looks like a really exciting striker, but he's still very young. Apparently, he's got some attitude problems and things like that. So you don't know what he's like. How many times have you seen an exciting striker break onto the scene and they just kind of like fade into the night because they never live up to their potential? You've always seen that. So Duran would have been nice, but he's not a West Ham United player. So please stop mentioning him. Have you seen his house? I want Fogg to see and believe he can if utilised correctly. I see his role as covering Antonio's last 30 minutes. That'd be useful, expensive, but useful. No, I see it as the other way around. Falk will be playing the majority of games and Antonio will be used as a super sub. That will be happening. Antonio will not be our starting number 9 for the majority of the season. That won't. It just won't. By game week 8 or 9, right? Fuller probably would have secured his place as the starting number 9 in our side. I do believe that. I'm not saying that he's going to be scoring goals galore, but I don't think Antonio has done particularly well so far, and he will be given a chance. That's also a fair point as well. That is a fair point. Antonio is starting before Fuller at the moment because he's used to playing with the players that we have been playing. And he's Premier League experienced. And Lopetegui likes him. That's why he's starting. Fuller's not starting because he doesn't know the players that we're playing with and he hasn't got Premier League experience and he needs to have a little bit more opportunity. That's why Antonio's starting. I'm sure Tim will address the striker position, just depends on what price range will be. Yeah, and that's also going to depend on what we're able to achieve this season. Who is currently our best player? I think anyone would really struggle to argue against Kudus being our best player. Because I mean, Bowen is up there, but I think Kudus overall, I think is probably our best player at the moment. Probably. We shall see, won't we? We shall see, Damien. We shall see. I mean, look, I could be wrong. I fully admit that I could be wrong. But we could be coming on here in a couple of weeks and talking about Fuller scoring a couple of goals in the game and starting every game. We don't know at the moment. But I'm just telling you what I believe is going to happen. I seriously doubt that Lopetegui is planning on going with 34-year-old Antonio as our main striker for the whole season, especially when he is not scoring goals and not playing particularly well. I will be really surprised if that happens. If it does, though, it does. But we'll see in a couple of weeks, won't we? We'll see. None of us can see the future. Last season was a better one for achieving top six position, but Moyes wasted it. Yes, he did. But I still feel like there's going to be I don't. Yeah, sorry, I was just last season better one for achieving the top six position. Yeah, yeah. We know this was true, didn't we? You know, we had opportunities last summer, and then we had opportunities in January, and we screwed up that last January transfer market, which just left us in a terrible position. And yeah, we had an opportunity to get top six, but we didn't. We didn't. No, I did read that right, Gary. I did read it right. I said, yeah, I totally agree. The Folk is better for us. I agreed with that point. Duran, you're right. He doesn't play for us. He plays for us a bit of one, but he he was a player that was going to come in always kind of like looking for his next move. You know, Folk has come to West Ham United to prove himself in the Premier League, and you know there is something there. I do slightly agree with that, but it doesn't mean that either player wouldn't have been good. Colin, no, we do not have a top cross striker. No, Fullkrug, not Lopetegui. He's nothing on Dean Ashton, and the other strikers we have a decline. I'm prepared to give Fullkrug a chance. Wait and say, yeah, we've got to give him a chance. He's got nothing on Dean Ashton. I mean, Dean Ashton was a brilliant striker. You know, it's such a shame he got injured because he would have been absolutely incredible. But I still feel like he could be one of the best signings we've made, or he could be one of the worst. He's on that boundary at the moment. How many games has Folk started? One. Give the guy a chance. Randy, I can't forgive Moyes when we had the opportunity to break into the top four and push on him, and the ball showed no ambition at the time, and that was the moment. Yeah, totally agree. One hundred and 37 minutes isn't an excuse. It's a fact. It's a fact. He's only played 137 minutes. What do you expect someone to do in 137 minutes of football? Seriously, like a striker. What were you expecting him to score like 4 goals by now? What were you expecting from him in 137 minutes? This is what I'm genuinely curious about. Genuinely curious. I'll get confused in these comments now. Is that before? Is that because you? I saw a clip of him scoring. I think he's the goal he scored against Tottenham in the League Cup of quite a few years ago now. I remember where I was at that. I was at a Christmas party when that happened. My Eagles scored a winner for us in the League Cup. I remember where I was. So I was listening. I was watching it. I was listening to it on the radio actually in a Christmas work meal. I think it was a Christmas meal, surrounded by Tottenham fans. Loved it. Loved it. Right. I think we're going to call it a night now. It's been a great chat. Um, it's always good to get into arguments with you guys. I absolutely love it. So I look forward to next week, and we can maybe get into another argument next week. Can we stop talking about Duran now, because he's not a West Ham United player. He's an Aston Villa player. I'll see if I can recommend you some good Aston Villa chats. You know, you can go chat around. You can go chat about Duran in those ones if you want. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've had a good evening. Um, I I maybe I should be live on the West Ham. I'll probably go live again on the West Ham Network Extra on Thursday, maybe. I don't know, because I think we may have the big debate on the West Ham Network page, so I might not, but we shall see. But yeah, make sure you're hitting the like and subscribe button over here. Make sure you go and hit the like and subscribe button over on the West Ham Network Extra as well. That'd be amazing. If you want to see more content from me on a daily basis, go follow me over on TikTok, West Ham Fan 86, and I give my daily West Ham United opinions, also opinions on other football related stuff as well. So yeah, that's where you can follow me. Anyway, hope you've had a good night. Thank you very much for joining. See you later. Come on.